Hi everyone, thanks for being here. I'm Lori Jennifer and I am here with
Grace.
Grace. And I just did an interview where she answered some questions. And when we were done and we turned off the video, Grace asked if she could interview me. So we just wrote up a few quick questions and we are going to begin. And thank you, Grace. That's very kind. So you can start.
Okay, so the first question is, how does it feel to be the mom of a trans kid?
That is a very cool question. It feels really lucky because I think that I'm a better person and a better mom because I have a trans kid. Because before that, I was very shy. I was afraid to talk about difficult topics. I didn't even really like talking about body parts. I was a little shy about things. And it really opened me up to the idea that of course we should be having conversations with children. Of course we should talk about our bodies and our feelings and things that matter. And I think that it helped me stand up to a lot of bullies because I've met a lot of bullies on social media, mostly, not too many in real life. But having a trans kid has done so many amazing things for me as a person. So thank you.
The second question is, how did you feel when Michael transitioned?
So I had a ton of different emotions when Michael transitioned. The biggest feeling that I had was fear because I was really scared that people weren't going to love him or treat him well, or even I was worried that when people met Michael, they were not going to just see the person that he is and they were just going to see him as like the trans kid and sort of like label him as one thing and not see the full person. And then, I was worried about how Daddy was feeling because it was very hard for Daddy. And I was just kind of worried, about what challenges Michael was going to face. And I wasn't worried about you because I felt like you were going to grow into this awesome, cool person from having a trans sibling. So I didn't worry about you. You were like the one person that I was kind of like, Grace is going to be okay. Yeah.
The third question is, what is the benefit of having a trans kid?
So I have a lot of benefits of having a trans kid. One of the cool parts actually is some of the friends that I've made that I wouldn't have met otherwise. So I don't know if you remember, we went to a conference when you were really little. I think you brought it up the other day. You waited with Daddy in the lobby because we didn't want to leave you in like the little kid camp. Daddy didn't want to leave you there. But we went to a gender conference. We met some really cool people. And then I ended up going back a few years later. That's when Michael met his best friend, whose name I'm not going to mention. I don't want to out people, but where Michael met his best friend. And then the friend that Michael met in the camp, his mother and I became best friends, and that is the best benefit of all. You know exactly who I'm talking about. So making new friends and just being able to connect with a whole beautiful community of people, not just parents of trans people, but transgender friends as well who are teaching me. And I feel like when I didn't know things or I had a lot to learn, there were all these transgender adults who kind of took my hand and were like, it's gonna be okay, I got you, I'll teach you this stuff, I'll help you. And that was really kind of them to use their energy and their time and their voices to educate people because it's not their job to educate anyone. So if a person is telling you about their experiences, that's a blessing that you get to listen to, what somebody else has been through. Yeah, thank you.
The fourth question is, how do you make sure we both get attention?
So that was something that people ask me all the time, like, does Michael get all the attention? Does he get more attention? So Dad and I worked hard to make sure that did not happen and you get a lot of attention. One thing before the pandemic, do you remember we had date nights? Mm-hmm. So Dad and I would split up and we would each take one kid and we would go do something fun. Usually we would go to dinner together or go do an activity together. So we would have these nights where it was just one-on-one and then we would switch. So if I had Michael one time, next month you would be with me and then Michael would go with Dad. And that was another thing. But just, I don't know, I think any parent with two kids has to try to make sure both kids are getting all the attention that they can, right? All right. Do you have any more questions?
Did you talk to Dad about his feelings?
Yes. When Michael first started to transition, Dad and I didn't really agree on a lot of things at the time, so we did have arguments. We did have a hard time. But when we did sit down and talk and listen really a lot more to each other, it made a big difference. So Dad and I had to actually learn a little bit how to listen to each other and how to be there for each other instead of just pushing our ideas, right? So it's like if you and your best friend are trying to figure out what to play with, if you're both just saying what you want and nobody's listening, you're not going to get time to play. But if you both stop and, work through and listen and maybe figure that out, it works out better. So yeah, Dad and I talked about our feelings, and we still do.
And the last question is there anything else you want people to know?
Yes, I want people to know that families of trans kids are just regular families. We're just people that are trying to do the best that we can for our children, our cisgender children and our transgender children and our non-binary children. We just want our kids to have the same opportunities and the same protections that every other kid has. We just want what every parent wants for their children: safety and love and just having our kids be who they are, because that's so important. Thank you for doing that. That was so nice that you wanted to ask me some questions. So thanks everybody, and goodbye, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.